You're listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Fred, do you ever catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and say, holy crap, that's what I look like?
I didn't even catch a glimpse of the Lunar New Year. Relevant.
Is that different than the regular New Year?
I don't know. I saw it was hashtagged for a minute. Yeah, no, I agree with you. There is not a mirror that I avoid. I regularly look at myself.
Well, I have a conundrum here. I feel like I've been wearing a shirt today that's way too small for me, and no one said anything about it. So that either means that I'm overreacting in my own head and my shirt's fine, or I don't have anyone in my life who is honest enough with me to tell me that my shirt is too small.
Where is it tight at?
Well, let's see. We're webcamming here. I don't know. It feels like it's a little short down here.
Okay, so it's not getting over your front upper pubic area. Is that what you're saying?
No, it covers everything but barely. Like if I were an exercising man and I was doing jumping jacks, my soft, cuddly abdomen would be exposed.
So how are your shoulders? Do you have enough room in the shoulders?
Yeah, it's pretty good. A little tight in my armpits, but.
Okay, how are the tits? Are the tits, does it feel squeezed, or is it, what's the deal?
I can't tell. I can't tell if my headlights are on or not. It doesn't feel too constrictive, but it could be looser.
Okay. Well, I would first of all, number one, I would check the tag. So you're always looking for a cotton poly blend.
Yeah.
Like that's important in fabrics because if you go 100% cotton, you're going to get, in the famous words of George Costanza, shrinkage. And you don't want that. What you want is a shirt that'll wear the same way, not just the first time you get it off the rack, but for years to come.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Good job, everyone.
Thanks for listening, Paul's. Bye. All right, Fred, so I have to ask you.
Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah, you and all of your Missouri brethren, along with the people of the great state of Massachusetts, were the only ones rooting for the Patriots to win in the Super Bowl. And
New Orleans as well. New Orleans was also rooting for the Patriots.
That's true. And we're not going to recap the game. It's been recapped. It was a boring game. I don't know why Trey Wingo got so mad about people saying it was a boring game, but he did.
St. Louis guy.
What's that?
He's from St. Louis.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
No. Wow. Small world. But I got to ask you, Fred. The team that you wanted to lose lost.
Yes.
And there was a time where you were rooting for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, and they did. So I have to ask you, what's better, when a team you like wins or a team you hate loses? Because I believe most of America was tuning in to watch, not to watch the Rams win, but to watch the Patriots lose.
It just kind of shows the ignorance of America, doesn't it?
Well, one thing I do like to do every time Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl is to
you've done this 6 times.
I like to remind Michigan fans that when Tom Brady was at Michigan, they wanted Coach Lloyd Carr to bench Tom Brady for Drew Henson. So I like to remind a Michigan fan of that lapse of judgment, and I've been able to 6 times since the year 2000.
Major League Baseball third baseman Drew Henson, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. Did he play for the Cardinals?
No, but he did go to the minor leagues, right? That was his thing.
Yeah, he was like Kyler Murray. He had the choice to play either football or baseball, and neither one quite panned out.
And then he went to Dallas and backed up Chad Hutchinson as the quarterback there. It didn't work out. They went and got the black guy, and now they're in the mix. They're in the mix.
What an honor.
Tony Romo. Good job, huh?
Yeah. Tony Romo. Here's the thing about Tony Romo. Okay, I'm like the rest of America. I'm under Tony Romo's spell.
Yes,
but he's so good. He's so good at predicting plays from the broadcast booth. Why was
he a defensive coordinator?
No, I think that's a little. I think that's a little far. People need to pump the brakes on broadcasters leaving the booth to coach. A la Matt Millen here in Detroit. He was the general manager. A la John Gruden right now in Oakland. My question is, though, Fred, if Tony Romo's so good at guessing what defenses are going to do, Why wasn't he able to do this when he was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, he just didn't have the help around him. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved in this.
You didn't have Jim Nantz there with him?
Jim Nantz, I think, is key. He's the. Are you familiar with Star Wars?
I've heard of it, yes.
He's Obi-Wan. He's like leading Luke.
Yeah. So he's gone to more Super Bowls with Jim Nantz than he ever went with Jason Garrett.
He was able to watch what I consider the greatest Super Bowl of all time, the most recent Super Bowl, whenever the empire known as the New England Patriots really just embarrassed the rebellious and the ignorant.
The chick who left you at the altar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I hate Sean McVay.
Right. You hate him. You hate him because you ain't him.
I now love Todd Gurley, who says he doesn't want to play for the Rams anymore, but we won't even go through that. I tell you what, I loved it. I was on the edge of my seat. It was the first time, we talked about this briefly last week, it was my first time since 2001 when the Rams were in the Super Bowl where I had a rooting interest. And it was a whole different experience to watch. I didn't go to a party. I stayed in, just took it in literally on the edge of the couch. And I loved it, Mike. It was like my absolute – the whole game was one score until the end. Like, it was riveting. Like, I could not have enjoyed – I could not have enjoyed football more, period.
So you're that guy.
I loved it.
You're that guy who's selling this boring football game as a defensive chess match.
I mean, it was like two heavyweight boxers just throwing swings at each other, just taking blow after blow and never crippling, ever ceasing.
It was like two heavyweight boxers just standing there blocking the whole time, both of them.
Oh, my gosh. And it was a beautiful display of artistry. And then sprinkled into it the worst halftime show ever. And also all the most terrible commercials except for the Bud Light ones. They were perfect.
Right. Okay. We'll get to those in a second because you haven't answered my question, Fred.
Okay. I'm ready.
You watched the greatest show on turf. How many Super Bowls did they win? One or two?
One.
They won one. They went to two, right?
Yes.
So you watched the greatest show on turf win a Super Bowl when they were your team.
Yes.
And then you watched the Sean McVay, Todd Gurley is injured, but nobody says he's injured, but you know he's injured because he's the best running back in the league, and they barely hand it off to him. You watch those Rams lose a Super Bowl. What was more gratifying?
Watching them lose. It's not even close.
So watching a team you hate lose is more gratifying than watching a team you like win.
I love it more than anything.
So it's more so, and you know what, Fred? I think most people won't admit it, but I think most people would agree with you. I feel like anger is a stronger emotion than happiness. I feel like anger is a longer lasting, more enduring emotion than happiness.
I think it's important that people get what they deserve, and that's a positive and a negative. But also, I think it's even more important that Stan Kroenke got his fucking comeuppance. Yeah,
well, that's true. Or it just shows that you got young quarterback, young coach. You have a running back that could get healthy. Maybe this is a preview of dominance over the next decade. Who knows?
Or maybe there's another way to describe them. That's a bunch of losers.
That could be. If that's what helps you sleep at night, Fred, then you can, because you're not wrong. Where's the lie right now?
At my house now, if you come to my house and ring the doorbell, you have to ring it 6 times for Tom Brady.
Oh, Tom Brady 6.
6 rings.
Right. Or the 6 quarterbacks who were taken in front of Tom Brady in the 2000 draft. One of which, former St. Louis quarterback Mark Bulger.
Stud.
Yeah. He turned out he was like a 4th or 5th. He was pretty low down there, but he ended up having a decent career. All right, Fred. So I'm going back to a couple things you said here.
Okay, I'm ready.
First of all, you said the worst commercials of all time,
except for Bud Light.
You like the Bud Light, the corn syrup angle?
Love it. I love the Game of Thrones mix. I loved everything about it.
Well, I have to be fair. And I asked my Game of Thrones friends if they liked the Game of Thrones one, because I don't watch Game of Thrones, so that one missed me. I wasn't the audience for that. Mixed reviews. The whole corn syrup thing, I don't know. It wasn't funny. Wasn't really the hill to die on for me. I felt like maybe the brass in the Bud Light boardroom at the advertising company really had no ideas, so they just kind of threw that one in. But I have to be honest with you, Fred. I feel like Super Bowl commercials are a scam, okay? Commercials are for taking a leak. Commercials are for getting another sub, grabbing another beer. Commercials are not part of the show. And I think the fact that the NFL has convinced you that Super Bowl commercials are the best and Super Bowl commercials are part of the experience, I think it's the greatest con on the American consumer where they actually convince you to, in the middle of the action, to sit there and watch commercials. Commercials where any other day of the year you're flipping around, you're avoiding like the plague. Somehow the NFL has convinced us to watch the commercials on top of the biggest game of the year.
Hey, Mike.
Yes?
Who cut your heartstrings?
Look, I didn't choose this life. This life chose me.
I just need to know, because whenever Xbox puts out their adaptive controller for kids with special needs,
I'll get one because I have no heart.
I just need to know why you didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't enjoy the Backstreet Boys parody.
Well,
I don't know why you didn't enjoy Sarah Michelle Gellar on the comeback, apparently.
Well, number one, you don't have to wait till the Super Bowl to see Super Bowl commercials. Somehow, the Today Show shows them in segment. You can watch them online. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm sure. Look, the special needs controller was very heartwarming. I'm just saying, overall, the fact that the NFL has bamboozled you into staying on the couch between game actions to watch the commercial. I don't like to drop this line very often, Fred, but wake up, sheeple. Wake up, America.
It's must-see TV. It's appointment television. You're too money hungry, Mike. You want everything now. It's the experience. It's shared with loved ones.
Make commercials lame again, Fred. That would be my red hat.
No.
That'd be my red hat.
Here's some things I want to see. I want to see remake of Nintendo Entertainment System video games like Duck Hunt, and I want to see remakes of my favorite 90s commercials, like the Little Caesar one where the baby drags the pizza through the house and then lets go of the pizza, and like a slingshot, it shoots through the house. That's all I want to see.
Well, you're a simple man with simple requests, and all of these requests, all of these desires can be filled by a quick Google search on the YouTube.
I refuse to do that. I want to watch it. Because what if it's a disaster? What if it's like the halftime show and it's the worst thing ever? Like, I want to watch that.
Yeah, you keep saying it was the worst halftime show. I got to say, it didn't really stand out in my mind, but doing halftime at the Super Bowl, it's like hosting an award show.
Yes, it's exactly like hosting an award show.
No matter what you do, people are going to crap on it.
I mean, unless you're like Lady Gaga or Justin Timberlake or a lot of people in recent memory, except for Maroon 5.
Now, number one, Justin Timberlake was just Lady Gaga was great.
Yes.
Beyonce's first, her Illuminati Witch one, where the lights went out in the stadium afterwards. Her first Super Bowl performance,
where she shut the lights off.
That was very good. Other than that, all Super Bowl halftime shows they just blur together for me. I don't know what was any worse about Maroon 5's performance than anybody else's. Than say Coldplay's.
I'm glad you asked, Mike. I will tell you. Number one, you can't tease that you're going to do something and then not do it.
Are you talking about the SpongeBob thing?
I am. The internet will uproar over you. We're living in an uproar society. Like, you cannot do that. Number two, play the hits. Only play the hits.
They did, didn't they?
No, they played some. There was lots of crap I never heard. I knew they had lots of crap I had heard. So you're screwing it up. Venn diagram. NFL fans, Maroon 5 fans. It's like a very small part in the middle that is the same, in my opinion.
Right, and there's a lot of overlap between NFL fans and Lady Gaga fans, Fred.
Yes. Maybe you're not familiar with the Grammys or, I don't know, the Academy Awards, because Lady Gaga is going to win all of those. She might
also win a Vezina trophy. I don't know. I hope so.
Is that a football award?
That's a hockey award.
Okay. So then...
You don't know that because you're in New Mexico and they haven't invented hockey out there yet.
Maroon 5 is not a headlining band. Maroon 5 is a supporting band. And then they brought in people who weren't as good as Maroon 5 to support Maroon 5, and they did not do that. They did not do that well at all.
I do have to say, Maroon 5 with Travis Scott and Big Boy seemed very random to me.
Is it like ATL based, and I don't have enough hip hop knowledge to recognize that?
Well, you see, Fred, Big Boy is one half of legendary hip hop duo Outkast, which I think if Andre 3000 or 2000,
I am for real,
whatever his name is, I think if he would have made a surprise appearance and there was an Outkast reunion, I think that would have got the kids tapping their toes. I really do.
Are you talking about star of the 2005 hit release from Mark Wahlberg, Four Brothers, Andre 3000?
He's so prolific, isn't he? Yes. I'm talking about Lend Me Some Sugar, I Am Your Neighbor, Andre 3000.
How about whenever Cardi B was like, I'm not coming, the NFL, they hate Colin Kaepernick. You couldn't get a stripper to come out there, NFL. I don't know. I'm not.
Well, and then they got Maroon 5. Look, Maroon 5 was in a tough spot, okay? Maroon 5 was like their third choice. Maroon 5, they just want to be this milquetoast sort of band that has mass appeal, and then they're asked about their political beliefs. And, when a man takes off his shirt in front of a stadium, he's desperate. And I think maybe you're a little threatened by that because, Adam, what's his name, is about 60 years old, and he still looks pretty good with no shirt on.
You're thinking of Mick Jagger when he was doing his Mick Jagger impersonation from that one song that I recognized, the Mick Jagger song. Why did he take off his shirt at the end? Janet Jackson is pissed.
Because he got to show both nipples.
Here's what I'm being serious. This isn't even a joke. This is 100% real. They're worse than Nickelback now.
I don't know. I think that's a bit of an over-exaggeration.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And look, Fred, you made the joke about how Janet Jackson's pissed. There's some people out there trolling. I even posted tongue-in-cheek that, Maroon 5 could show both their nipples and Janet Jackson can't. And then there's some people who take that seriously, like, I can't believe. Nobody really thinks there's a double standard. Okay, we all understand the societal norms that men can go topless, women can't. Whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, it's socially acceptable. So no one is actually outraged about a double standard. That's like an internet joke that the people who get offended by everyone getting offended, that type of crowd, fell for, and they do the anger bait repost. No, nobody actually is outraged that Adam Levine was allowed to show his nipples on TV.
How many times did you go back and rewatch the halftime show?
0.
It was garbage.
Well,
I watched both Fyre Festival documentaries on Netflix and Hulu twice. That's how good they were.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Fred. I can watch. I'm fine with watching one documentary on the Fyre Festival. I don't know if I need to watch 2 documentaries on it.
I watched them both.
You watched them both. So you watched the Netflix one.
Yeah, which was produced by Fuck Jake.
Fuck Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah, so Fuck Jerry. And the Hulu one, which I watched the Netflix one. I didn't watch the Hulu one. The Hulu one was different because they had Billy McFarland, the head of the Fyre Festival, on it, right?
I mean, the face. I guess Ja Rule was the face.
Yeah, right. He was the public face. For people who don't know what the Fyre Festival, Fred, is...
Get out from under the fucking rock.
Look, just take it easy on the people. Okay, Fred, we're not here to browbeat. We are here to inform. So inform us. What was Fyre Festival?
The greatest invention of all time was Fyre Festival. It was the new Burning Man. It was the new Coachella. It was the new Lollapalooza. It was the new South by Southwest. It was the new Sundance. It was the new Fyre Festival, which is awkward because there wasn't a Fyre Festival yet.
Right. So what the Fyre Festival was, this guy named Billy McFarland, who seemed to be a legit businessman before this all happened.
Allegedly.
He found... It was supposed to be this music festival on Pablo Escobar's Caribbean island where people fly in and they have this whole island paradise all to themselves. Blink-182 was going to play. Major Lazer was going to play. Migos was going to play. Oddly enough, Ja Rule wasn't playing, even though he was the second half of this business partnership.
Oddly enough, they claimed a lot of other people were going to be playing, but they were not.
Yeah, I think they said that Elvis was going to play, but it's impossible because he's dead, but maybe people thought it was a hologram. That part.
Kid didn't play. They said Kid didn't play, which was weird. They're
Right.
not super relevant anymore.
Right, and they probably people going to this Fyre Festival probably weren't even born when House Party was a thing.
So the documentary is the story of the facade and then disaster that is Fyre Festival.
Right, and they promised all these people these luxury villas on an island. They paid social media influencers like Natalie Radikowski and Gigi Hadid and the Jenners to post about it, and it's supposed to be catered. And when these people, and these were rich kids, it was like thousands of dollars a ticket. They got to this island. Not only was there no running water or plumbing, there was barely any electricity.
There was no fucking festival.
None of the band. Blink-182 tweeted out as people were getting on airplanes that they're not playing it. The luxury villas were old FEMA tents with old mattresses in there, and the gourmet catered meals were 2 pieces of bread with American cheese. And so, needless to say, when these rich kids who paid all this money for this music festival in a tropical paradise got there and saw what was happening, things did not go well.
Here's how it didn't go. So all these influencers. So really, it's a documentary on how people can be tricked into doing shit, right? So that's what it is. So it's because of the way it talks about social media and how the outreach works, and it's actually pretty fucking creative. And it talks about like the disasters of this Fyre Fest and how all these beautiful girls are tricked and probably drugged and raped at one point, but that part didn't make the documentary. And then how all these like poor soul but super rich white kids got duped out of money for this festival, and it's all pretty good, right? It's a disaster and it's a joke and it's the worst thing ever. But the best part of the whole thing is that I could like Andy King. Andy King is this fabulously gay festival producer. In my life, I have 2 parts of my life now. I have the part up until the part of the Netflix Fyre Festival documentary before Andy King says that he was willing to suck dick for water, and then I have everything after that. I have everything that's happened since. And that's how I divide my life now, because I am aware that there are some employees out there that are dedicated enough to get through country tariffs to go to it, not immigration, what's it called whenever you ship customs, and a gay man's D to get water to starving, I'm going to assume very thirsty, rich-ass white kids. So Andy King, you are a hero to me. Thank you for your presence now in my life. He will S the D for H2O.
Fred, I'm glad you explained that to me, because I'm wondering why the part where the elderly gay man was told he would have to SD for water, why that resonated with people so much, because that seems to be everyone's biggest takeaway. And I guess the story was Billy McFarland, who was Ja Rule's business partner, the guy at the
Billy,
top.
Here's the quote from Andy King. Quote, Billy called me and said, Andy, we need you to take one big thing for the team. And I said, oh my gosh, I've been thinking something for the team every day. He said, well, you're our wonderful gay leader, and we need you to go down. Will you suck dick to fix this water problem?
And then when he got, and then when Andy King got to the customs agent's like, no, you don't have to do that. Just make sure I'm the first one paid. So where did Billy McFarland get this idea that Andy King had to do this for water? Is it because he's the one gay guy and this customs dude was gay?
First of all, Mike,
yeah.
Was there anyone else in the room to collaborate that there was no dick sucking?
Well, here's the thing. If Andy King is going to admit that he went to the customs office with the intention to do this, if he's going to admit that, why wouldn't he admit that he went through with it? If you're not going to admit that you did it, why would you even bring the story up in the first place?
It better be Evian water, because I'm not doing it for Aquafina.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like I said, I don't know. So, like, did Billy McFarland, did he just call the guy up and say, look, we need that water. I got a dude who will S your D. Just let us have the water by. Or was Billy McFarland playing games with Andy King like he was playing games with everyone else? And the funny thing about this documentary, Fred, he had legit business people. He had legit PR agents. He had legit festival coordinators working.
We're talking millions and millions of dollars were exchanged between people.
Right. Like people, like there was one festival coordinator working with him who like organized Burning Man. So he found a bunch of legit people in a business and he scammed them all. I don't know. Have you ever fallen prey to a con man like this who's so convincing that he takes people who are legit in a business and he scams them the whole time and he stays with the scam until the very last minute? Because this Billy McFarland guy, he stuck with it. He stuck with it to the point where people were arriving on the island.
They were there. They were physically on the island.
What was his end game? Was his end game like, well, okay, well, maybe they won't ask for their money back. Maybe they won't sue me and we can keep some of this money.
They said, we're going to give you luxury Bordeauxs, and they were fucking FEMA tents.
Right, I know.
They were like, we got, this is a real thing. They were like, we have $9 million. This isn't even an exaggeration. We have $9 million in alcohol here for you to drink. What?
Right.
Like, what? You couldn't have put $9 million towards a band better than Blink-182? I know Maroon 5's available. They're not fucking doing anything good.
You know, I'm sick of people using the Fyre Fest as a reason to trash Blink-182, okay?
If you're willing to fly to the Caribbean to see Blink-182, this is what you deserve.
No.
You deserve this life.
They weren't going to the Caribbean to watch Blink-182. They were going to the Caribbean to do drugs, and Blink-182 just happened to be there. They would have just happened to be there if there was an actual
Hulu
festival.
one, which you didn't watch, is a lot of interviews with Billy McFarland, and he's just like telling this story and going on, and then at the end of it, the producer is, because Billy McFarland wasn't in the Netflix one.
Right.
There was like a lot of video of him that Fuck Jerry owned and they were able to use, but like in the Hulu one, he's just lying through his teeth the whole fucking time, and it's little stuff. It's just dumb shit. It's like, yeah, I started a credit card company, and we had 10,000 users, and then he would just like say shit, and then at the end, the producer's like, hey, heads up, I know we've been talking for a while, but why did you lie about? And then he just runs the list of shit that the dude lied about, and he's like, I can't really talk about that. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this doesn't make any sense, dog. And then also, he's got the super hottest, like, Russian, like, model girlfriend you've ever seen in your entire life, so good for him, but he's in jail for the next 6 years.
Right. Well,
he will come out and start a business again.
Oh,
Don't
he
think
will.
we won't. We'll hear from this dude again.
Well, that's the thing with con men is, number one, they're sociopaths, so they feel no remorse. They feel no remorse or shame for any of the scams they've perpetrated in the past. And they're also good at convincing you that they're a victim or convincing you that it wasn't their fault. Because after Fyre Festival, he started this other thing, which was supposed to be this concierge, like, ticket broker service. And he would send out emails to a bunch of people, and he ended up having a staff. Even though it was well known that this guy was a known shyster, he still was able to find suckers to not only buy his products again, but to work for him again. And so you're right, Fred. We will be hearing from this guy.
I'm excited to see what's next. The first thing he does, right, is clear his name. The first thing he does is he produces something that's like
throwing everyone else under the bus.
And then poor Ja Rule is going to have to recover from this dragging his name through the mud, like.
So
and Ja Rule. And originally I didn't say this part. Fyre Fest was a festival for the Fyre app on your iPhone, to where you could book Ja Rule to come to your
bar mitzvah,
to come to your swingers party or whatever. Yeah, and then but he's still doing that, but it's just got a different name. So it's like, watch out for Ja Rule, which I've been saying for years, and no one heeded.
Right,
no one's heeded that.
Well, you know what, Fred? You showed them all, and we have to get to a break here. But a couple final thoughts on this. Number one, Fred. Do I need to watch 2 documentaries on Fyre Fest, or is one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just canceled Hulu, so I was going to have to wait. Number
I'll give
2.
you I'll give you my girlfriend's password.
Oh, perfect. And I'll just use that until we're all dead. Number 2, my favorite part of the Netflix documentary is when Ja Rule said, "No, that's not fraud. That's false advertising, which is fraud, you idiot." And number 3, 50 Cent loves trolling Ja Rule. Like, I forgot how their beef started, but 50 Cent loves trolling Ja Rule to the point where he found Ja Rule concert tickets on Groupon, and he bought the first 4 rows so that he'd be playing to a half-empty arena. So
That's so sweet.
So Ja Rule is committed. If 50 Cent is committed. So if 50 Cent wants to do the ultimate troll of Ja Rule, he should throw his own successful Fyre Festival.
50 Cent Festival, Cent Festival, Common Sense Festival, Fire Sense. I'm going to come up with a better name after the break.
You can be the Billy McFarland to a 50 Cent's Ja Rule. It's Parsons and Slow on Sports Radio Detroit and AlienXRadio.com.
Because I feel like a salad tossing might feel good.
What? Out of Bounds Detroit podcast. Tuesday morning and Friday mornings here on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Looking to reach new potential customers? SRD can help. We work with any size business and budget. Plus, our amazing listener base grows every day. For more information on how your business can advertise with us, feel free to send us an email at sportsradiodet@gmail.com. That's sportsradiodet@gmail.com. SRD, Detroit podcasting home. All right, Fred, so Tuesday night, it finally happened. The government shutdown ended just long enough for Donald Trump to give his State of the Union address.
Oh, say, can you see?
Surprisingly enough, he did not weave that into said State of the Union address.
Oh. America, America.
Now, one thing, Fred. Number one, there were parts of the State of the Union address. I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Okay?
It's the weirdest shit of all time.
Donald Trump, what he demonstrated was his ability to win a room and then lose a room instantaneously and numerous times. Only 2 things that he said I really kind of took issue with.
Okay.
Number one, when he used the beginning of his speech to tell the feds to stop investigating him.
It was weird because what had happened was, they broadcast on all the networks.
Correct.
Right? So then NBC was like, the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And then he came up to the microphone. He was like, "I'm not a crook." And I thought, I said, don't lead with that.
No,
don't open with that.
No.
That's bad.
Actually,
don't do that, Donnie.
Actually, just say that in your inside head voice. Don't say it on your outside head voice.
I'm not a crook.
So when he did that, and then when he said that if he wasn't president, we'd be at nuclear war with North Korea, because I find that I believe that would be factually inaccurate. But there were a couple of times, and here's the thing, Fred. As much as I think Donald Trump is a disaster as the president, there's so many times I just want to like him. I really want to like him. Like when he was shouting out the women in Congress and all those.
Why are you leading with this? This is the thing that made me the maddest.
Why did it make you mad? Well, let me explain.
You go first. All
right. So Donald Trump, you had all these women in Congress who are wearing white in honor of the women's suffrage movement, and they were sitting there cross-armed throughout the whole thing, and then Donald Trump shouted out, all the women in the workforce and how there's a record amount of women in Congress, and they all stood up and they all started clapping and chanting USA, which demonstrates Donald Trump's ability to win a room. And then in the next sentence, he starts talking about abortion, and then he loses the room altogether once again.
Here's how you viewed it wrong. In my opinion, here's why you are wrong. So Donnie's up there, and he's like, "Hey, we got less people on welfare." Crowd goes wild. Awesome. Hey, we're ending wars. half the crowd goes wild, awesome. He says, hey, we got more people in the workforce than ever. Crowd goes wild, awesome. You know who doesn't go wild at all through any of that? All the women in white. None of them fucking go wild. And then Donnie is like, oh, by the way, women are working. We got more women congressmen than ever. They go fucking crazy. And I'm like, listen here, dumb bitches. If the only thing you're going to applaud is your fucking self, who the fuck are you representing? Like, what are you doing up here? Like, I need you to, because you're supposed to be this fucking idea of like change and equal liberties and rights and all. Get off your fucking asses and support the stuff that needs supported aside from your own personal successes. Eat my dick, Nancy Pelosi. You're a fucking millionaire politician your whole life anyways. You're about 0% different from Donald Trump, and you can go fuck yourself if you think fucking otherwise. Like, I could not have been more right on this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, Fred, this must have been your first State of the Union address because
it was not.
Because usually what happens during the State of the Union, whatever the president says, members of his party stand up and clap, and members of the opposite party sit on their butts. It's happened. It's happened since as long as I've been watching State of the Unions. So all these women dressed in white were Democrats. So, unless Donald Trump really, really made a play to reach across the aisle and extend an olive branch, which he did, the tradition is for them, since they're Democrats, to sit down and be the tough audience for the president.
He's like, hey, we got to do some, you know what we're going to do? We're going to look at Big Pharma. Let's make some changes. And that's going to be a fucking bipartisan effort. Nothing. Fucking crickets. Crickets from, like, but also you bitches are doing good. Yay, big round of applause. Like, oh, and Nancy Pelosi's cunt clap.
Yeah.
She was doing the whole time. Like, you on TV, girl.
Fred,
like,
go back and watch any other State of the Union, okay? You're going to see Barack Obama. You're going to see George W. Bush. You're going to say all of them saying similar shit that Donald Trump said during his State of the Union. And you're going to see members of the opposite party sitting on their butt. It's just the way the game is played. Now, I think the fact that Donald Trump was able to make the entire chamber stand up and cheer a couple of times, I think, is a credit to Donald Trump. And, I don't like giving Donald Trump a whole lot of credit. But so I don't know. I think you're off on that, if I'm being honest.
Here's an actual quote from the transcript. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Quote, America is winning each and every day.
Yeah, that's his campaign slogan.
That's all he's fucking saying.
Yeah.
He's not saying anything.
Yeah. But what's he implying with America's winning each and every day?
I have no idea. Whatever I want it to mean.
Yeah.
It's so
okay, but
ambiguous.
Fred, what if you're a woman or you're a minority, okay? Maybe you don't feel like you're winning.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't feel like I'm winning as not a woman or a minority.
Okay, so don't stand up and clap. What are you pissed about?
The punchline to that is I don't only cheer when he's like, hey, heads up, white males in their prime earning years still doing great. I don't just cheer for only that because that's bullshitty.
Well, here's the thing, okay? When a president is pushing his agenda that you don't agree with, and
right.
most of these flowery bullshit sentences are just that. It's just a preamble to him pushing his agenda. You don't stand up and clap. But when he shouts out the people that he invites to the State of the Union, like the young girl who beat cancer, like that woman who was in prison on a nonviolent charge. If you go back and watch, everyone stands up and claps for that because those are bipartisan moments. But when you're sitting there and the State of the Union is a vehicle for a president to make his case for his political causes, if you oppose most of his political causes, you're not going to stand up and cheer unless that president really makes an effort, like Donald Trump did, the part where the women stood up and clapped.
He literally said end the investigation on himself. He said to do that.
Yeah.
At the State of the Union.
Right. You want them to stand up and clap for that, Fred?
No, I want them to fucking boo or do anything. Literally do anything.
Yeah.
Except, but their only reaction is for themselves. Get fucked. Michelle Lujan Grisham, my governor.
All right. Well, Fred, like I said, you have the right to feel whatever way you want. I'm not here to convince you that you're wrong. All I would say is take that selective outrage and watch any other State of the Union address and see that the game is played the exact same way no matter what party.
Also, he said, we're going to go hang out in North Korea for a while, and then we're going to talk to the Taliban. Like, what?
Right. All of a sudden, wait a second. I thought they were bloodthirsty monsters, and now they want... Now, the cool... I do have to say, and I think everyone can agree, the coolest part of the State of the Union is when they had that 81-year-old Holocaust survivor who also survived that synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. It was his 81st birthday, and the entire Congress sang happy birthday to him.
I mean, that's the part where you stop believing in God, right? Like 81 years, and twice because of like your religious affiliation, someone's trying to kill you. Like I would be like, hey, God, let's talk. Like you are not setting me up for success here, dog.
Can you cut that shit out, please? Thank you.
Yeah, like hey, I'm sorry I ate pork once, but it ain't that serious, man. Like that's
right.
Like that's the argument. That sucked. And then also, all right. Prison reform, I'm about. Let me be like, okay, you could talk about that. I love that. I love like nonviolent crime and offenders being that stuff. I'm for. People deserve second chances, in my opinion. And if you don't share that opinion, cool. Mm-hmm. With that said, you spend 2 minutes on that, and then you're going to give me 18 minutes on a fence. Right. You spend 2 minutes on death taxes, which for real don't super affect me, but that's not the point. But it's like you spend 2 minutes on that. You spend 2 minutes on farmers. You're going to give me 18 minutes on a fucking fence? It's only a 58-minute speech.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah. It'd be even shorter if they would do that thing like at high school award show where they ask you to hold your applause for the very end.
Yeah, at the graduation.
Yeah, please hold your applause for the very end. We'll get in and out of here in a half hour. But speaking of taxes, Fred, people are getting their taxes done because the government's back open. And
I did mine.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I haven't done it yet. I'm reading on a lot of my feeds that people are surprised that their tax returns are much lower than they have been in past years.
I would say I'm experiencing that. I am the exact same. Mine is. I would say mine is $1,200 less than it was last year.
Holy shit! I mean, here's the thing.
It's $1,000. It's like it's $1,100. It's $1,100 less. I just did the math.
If I didn't get this heads up before, I'd be pissed. I know that it's coming now. As long as I don't have to pay any money, I'm going to consider that a win. And I guess the trade-off is, and I'm actually surprised the Trump administration hasn't been advertising this, but the reason, and we may not have noticed this because we're broke anyway, but right. I guess they've been taking less money out of your paycheck throughout the rest of the year. So
yeah, so like the average worker, like my paycheck is on average got 50 more bucks in it. You know what? That's cool.
Yeah,
like that's really cool. And like I think the thing that's often lost to people is taxes is not a gift. Taxes is not a reward. That's already your money.
Right.
Like they just owe it back to you because they took too much because they were being careful. Like if you were better at your taxes at the very end, you would owe zero and you would get zero back every year. But you that's very difficult.
I'm going to sound like a really stupid Democrat here, Fred.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I cannot wait.
But there's a small part of me that actually wishes that they would have taken out the same amount of taxes throughout the end of the year because I just love getting that tax return check. I know. What's that?
The way you already got it every single week.
I know. That's why I'm saying. I know. Saying it out loud, I know how stupid it is. I'm even calling myself stupid, but there's something I love about getting that check in the mail. You know, just that lump sum. Maybe what I can do, Fred, is I can
get it in the mail. It's deposited into your account, just like the money that you're getting every 2 weeks.
Read the fine print on TurboTax. If they direct deposit it, they take a fee.
I don't use TurboTax.
Oh, what do? You just know how to do your taxes, Fred?
I am that guy. I am the guy that does my own taxes.
Oh, can you do my taxes?
I could. Or you know what I could do even better than that? I could teach you how to fish.
That sounds boring. I'd rather just learn how to do my taxes, which doesn't sound much more exciting. Yeah. So
the State of the Union address quickly became like disliked as fuck on YouTube videos, and this is kind of like a reaction that everyone has because like most social medias don't have like discourage or dislike buttons, right? So
Right.
like Facebook doesn't have, they have the sad face, cool. On Twitter, you can't untweet something, but like Reddit has a downvote,
Sure.
and then like YouTube has a dislike, and these are very prominent. So the State of the Union address it got downvoted to oblivion. Maroon 5 halftime show downvoted to oblivion. YouTube 2018 in Rewind downvoted to oblivion. And then YouTube came out earlier this week, Mike, and they said, hey, due to specific efforts, specifically by some social justice warrior style messages and content creators that are regularly downvoted by incels and Nazis, we're gonna think about removing the dislike button.
And I'm sure these incels are probably beside themselves because they don't have recourse anymore.
Yeah, they do. It's Twitch. It's any other service. Like,
So
you can't.
let me ask you this, Fred, and I'm going to sound like an old guy that doesn't know technology.
Yes.
Now, the downvote button on Reddit serves a purpose, right? It's this aggregate process where the more upvotes you get, the higher the content gets. So, the best stuff with the most interest is on the front page, and if you get downvote, it moves down. Is there a similar function like that with YouTube? Like our videos with more likes and less dislikes, do they pop up more in a search, or is it purely spiteful?
I believe it's purely spiteful. So there's this idea of like, do YouTube likes and dislikes do anything, right? Like, that's the question. And then, to my understanding, it's weighted disproportionately. So like likes have like 2/3 value, dislikes have like 1/3 value, and don't trust those percents, but that's just an example.
Right.
So the idea is like the more likes it gets, the more it should be available, or at least that's how it's explained. But if we're like in actuality, in practice, probably doesn't do anything, except like MGM and Disney get pissed every time they post like a remake of like a childhood movie, and it gets 1 million dislikes because no one wants to see the remake of what's the one where the girls are, fuck me, this was a good joke that I just ruined, the Olsen twins, and they're separated, then Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. The Parent Trap?
Yeah, because no one wants to see a third remake of The Parent Trap.
Right. Because it's ruining my childhood.
Yeah. Like, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like, the whole idea is like they're doing this in a way to where you won't have that negative feedback because, well, as we talk about all the time, everyone's so fucking sensitive.
Right. Well, I mean, look, if the downvote button, if the dislike button on YouTube doesn't do anything, I would say get rid of it, because I think just I think the rating system with just likes or no likes is fine. If you like it, you hit the like button, it goes up. If you don't give it a like, and it stays the same. I know.
Isn't there something fun though about like an angry internet mob and them being able to, because you hurt their SpongeBob SquarePants fandom, to go and download the NFL's Maroon 5 video all the way to downvote Oblivion? Like, don't you think Justin Bieber loved being the most disliked video on YouTube for like 10 years?
Maybe, but if you're a online social justice warrior and or incel, I mean, call me old-fashioned, Fred, but I would feel that typing out an angry comment would be more gratifying than just clicking a button that says thumbs down.
I'm not about to touch my keyboard. I can just click it.
Oh, well, I don't know. But yeah, like, I don't know. If it's purely spiteful, it's sort of like, how on Facebook people have been pushing for a dislike button on Facebook for the longest time.
Yeah, for 15 years.
Everybody thinks of how great it would be to use a dislike button against other people, but nobody thinks about how they're going to lose their shit and their fragile feelings are going to be hurt if somebody uses the dislike button on them.
I mean, any news is good news, right? Or any pub is good pub. Like, what's that old saying?
Yeah,
like,
there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, as long as you're getting interactions, that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
Like, but none of it, like, I guess none of it really matters, because even over on Netflix now, like you used to have the thumbs up, thumbs down, and then there's the star system, right? And now it's thumbs up, thumbs down on if you want. But it doesn't matter. It shows me the same shit the other day I'm scrolling through Netflix and there's all these serial killer documentaries all of a sudden. Do you want to know how many fucking serial killer things I'm interested in? The answer is 0.
Yeah.
But like they're shoving it down the throats of everyone.
Sorry, I got a breaking news alert. It was nothing. I guess Jeff Bezos is pissed at the National Enquirer. But yeah, you're right, Fred. And number one, a couple of things. This is the second time that Netflix has come up on our show. And we've talked about Netflix multiple times this year. I feel like Netflix has really stepped up its marketing game. I feel like every week, sort of like Apple, where Apple is so good at making their promotions look like news. When there's a new iPhone that comes out, it's big news. That's what's happening with Netflix. Every week, it's all over the news show. It's all over my social media. There's this new Netflix thing you just have to watch, and then it kind of goes away. And a couple weeks ago it was Fyre Fest. This past week it was the Ted Bundy tapes. This Serial is like the biggest podcast of all time. There's something about serial killers and true crime that people just love right now.
Which I did not watch 1 second of Making a Murderer.
Me either. No desire.
Okay. Yeah, no interest whatsoever. I'm not into perverse stuff. I'm not into torture. I'm not into even like that. But Netflix is like, no, here you go. And then it's become like this thing, like culturally, where it's like fear of missing out, right? Like there's like a FOMO, and because it's such like a passive, easy thing, like the people just do it regularly. Like you can already watch it on your phone, and then while you're doing it, you can tweet about it on your phone. So it's like people they're in the club, right? They're the coolest now because. I mean, I'm about to sound like Grandpa Simpson, but like, what used to be cool isn't cool, and I was cool when it was cool, but I don't know what cool is now. So everyone who still is cool is the coolest, and I'm just over here like chilling.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Netflix has entered into a agreement with these big media conglomerates, or they're paying somebody. But in 2018, there were maybe one or two things on Netflix that were big and what everyone was talking about. In 2019, every week there's something new you have to watch on. It started with Bird Box, and it's just every week.
Yeah, and then there's Vanderhoff, or what was that one? And then the Choose Your Own Adventure, what was that one called?
Bandersnatch.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of them, and then, but the idea, I think, Mike, anyways, I haven't read this anymore, I'm just projecting, is everyone's going to try to do their own thing now, right? So Disney's going to have their own streaming thing, and maybe Marvel is part of Disney, but they're going to have even a separate one, and then there's so everyone's producing their own streaming thing, and it's going to get to the point where what was really great and all located in one central spot is no longer going to be that. So what you have to do is you have to build up, similar to Apple fanboys, you have to build up a fan base that's afraid to ever leave you. And that's what I'm thinking Netflix is trying to do. Netflix is anyone can have 1998 smash hit Braveheart, cool, but we also have 1 million original series, and that's the deal. Right. They're building this honesty to their viewer that I think is going to pay off in the long run. Because even if their program, and I guess this program is all really great, but even if it doesn't stay really great, they've already hooked you. I'm still with Sprint. I've been with Sprint for 20 years, and it's fucking garbage.
Right, but yeah, you built that brand loyalty over so many years. Yeah, and I mean, Netflix, it came out, Netflix just dumped a butt ton of money into original programming, so they're out there and they're pumping it. But yeah, what is it about serial killers that seem to be, and not to sound sexist, it seems like it's mostly women who are kind of into this type of stuff.
I agree.
And I'm wondering if it's sort of the same draw that slasher films had in the 80s, except we're over slasher films and horror movies. So now we have to go to sort of these true crime stories that are kind of scary, but you're still at a safe distance from them because the person you're reading about, you're watching about is in jail, and this happened decades ago. That's my only theory as to why all this true crime and all these serial killer documentaries are so huge right now.
There's a sense that and I'm going to keep using the word perverse. I don't know if that's the best word or whatever, but I I think people really like watching like weird stuff. It's like voyeuristic, right?
Right. It's kind of it's exploring the dark side of humanity and the dark side of your own id from a safe distance, right? Like, you know, Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, we all know that couldn't happen in a million years now. You know, we now know it's all makeup and special effects. But here's something that happened back in the 70s, but that guy's in jail and it happened decades ago. So while it's kind of scary because it happened in the real world, you're still a safe enough distance away from it where you know, you can kind of watch it voyeuristically and detached a little bit.
And there's something about like you look at a car accident, right, on the road, right? Like that's like you look at stuff that is of that nature, and I believe like through the magic of media, you're able to, if it's like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy just recently, or whoever, and I think there's a bunch of them. Like, in becoming a serial killer is becoming celebrity, which is also a crazy fucking idea, but like it's exaggerated in such a way that like it's almost so disconnected that it's not real. You know, like like. What is as you're taking it in, what is the difference between like Hannibal Lecter and Jeffrey Dahmer? I really don't know.
Right.
Like in that moment. And it's so easily made like sexy, and it's so easy to like hit on like those like prime emotions, like love and shame and pity and remorse and all those things. Like you can tell a story, and then on top of that you can say based on a true story.
Right.
And then it's like, oh my God, it's even creepier. Like and women love it, but apparently only men do it. Like only men become serial killers. So this whole thing is just like a weird dark circle to me. Like the people watching it are the people who get serial killed.
Right. Well, and you know, I mean, women are much more complex than us men. So my theory is probably not even a mile close to to what reality is. But, you know, talking about going back to what you just said has become sexy. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are pissed that Zac Efron is playing Jeffrey Dahmer in an upcoming biopic because, you know, he's making being a serial killer look sexy. But the pushback on that, which I kind of agree with, well, Ted Bundy was a handsome, charming guy. That's how he was able to lure his victims in. Zac Efron is a good-looking dude. He's got a lot of charisma. It makes sense for him to play Ted Bundy because it's accurate and it's also cautionary. It's the old Lifetime movie formula where the handsome, charming guy at the beginning, what you see on the surface isn't always what's going on underneath.
Watch out, Candace Cameron.
No, that she's safe. She's safe on the Hallmark Channel.
Sorry.
I am a little bit worried.
Watch out, young Drew Barrymore.
Right. For 1980s era Morgan Fairchild, I'm still worried about her.
Yeah. The 1980s are on the comeback right now because Weezer released the Teal album on Tuesday. Did you see this?
I saw that.
So the 1980s are relevant again as Weezer, riding the coattails of their quote-unquote success from their cover of Toto's Africa, released 12 more hits of 1980s covers, the Teal album.
Yeah, and honestly, I got a lot of shit for this on social media. I feel like Weezer's just kind of dicking around at this point.
Oh, they're garbage.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who have kind of turned on Rivers Cuomo. Rivers Cuomo, I forgot what podcast it was, but he revealed how he writes songs now. What he does, and some people think this is him phoning it in, but I don't know. It sounds pretty industrious, and it sounds like he works at it every day. Every day, he just, for however many minutes, he just free writes in his journal. And then he goes back hours later, he highlights the best lines, puts them in a spreadsheet, and then when he writes a song, he knows, okay, this verse needs this many syllables. So he just takes a bunch of lines to match syllables, and that's how he writes a song. So if you listen to a Weezer song and it doesn't sound coherent, it's because it isn't. He's literally taking songs off a spreadsheet from it could be over decades or years, and he's just putting them in to whatever music he wrote to fit syllables in iambic pentameter.
And what? What was that last word?
Iambic pentameter.
I just have no idea what that is.
That means like the amount of syllables and the melody and stuff.
Well, I from the beginning, my name is Jonas did not change my life. Like it just.
I mean, look, Buddy Holly was a banger. They have a couple bangers.
Oh,
but
they put out some bangers. Say It Ain't So is a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Undone was a fucking banger.
But this was decades ago.
That was 1994, dog. That was 25 years ago. Like, we just celebrated Green Day. We should be celebrating the Green Album. But, like, Weezer now in 2018, like, you know who your fan base is. And, yeah, I did like Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. No, on the Teal album, did you do it as well as Michael Jackson?
Well, I mean, and here's what it was. They played the songs exactly like how they're written.
The exact same. That's what the Toto song was. It's not even like an interpretation. It's a karaoke.
Right. They took a karaoke track and it's just Rivers singing. It's Rivers karaokeing his favorite songs. So, but look, there's some people out there say, I don't care. It's fun. God bless. I don't know. I think everything Weezer does is lame. But
in 2001, I was a freshman in high school, and I was really into that Hash Pipe song. Also, I didn't quite get Island in the Sun, probably also about drugs, but this is too phoned in for me. I listened to the whole album, and I don't even remember every song on it.
Yeah. I mean, I was interested to hear Billie Jean. It was fine. I didn't even think that their cover of Africa was that great. To be honest, if I closed my eyes, I couldn't tell you the difference between Africa by Toto and Africa by Weezer. And
Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Sweet Dreams, Take on Me, Happy Together, Paranoid, Mr. Blue Sky. Oh, No Scrubs, which I totally just forgot was even on there, and then Stand By Me. So There you go. If you want to waste 75 minutes of your life, you can do it with the Teal album.
By the way, Fred, every band has covered Take on Me. Every band.
Yeah, it's like the Beatles yesterday.
Right, exactly. That's and I
good
just
show.
said exactly because I think we're out of time.
Well, good job, everyone. GG.
Thanks for listening, Pauls. Bye.